Good afternoon. My name is Sherry Harris, and I'm doing a final project on middle childhood development for Baker College. My professor is Dr. Jeremy Linton. My report will touch on the topic of the stage of middle childhood development. I'll discuss how the role parents play in regulating emotions and how it affects development, as well as learning how important the role parents play in social development during middle school play out. In reading J.W. Santrock, 2016, the book entitled Essentials of Lifespan Development, the 4th edition from New York, McGraw-Hill, it shows that this age is from 6 to 11 years old, although other things that I've read have shown to age 12. This time frame, we know, is very important, and this is the time that they'll learn to read, and grammar becomes very proficient. Again, I read this in Essentials of Lifespan Development from J.W. Santrock. Developing emotional and social intelligence plays in this stage as well. One of the developmental issues in respect to middle school is how the parents' role is important. Their role is very important in regulating emotions, which is something we need to teach the children at this stage. It affects their emotional development. It affects their personality, as well as their behavioral habits, and many other factors. They will start to understand themselves and others in this stage of development. Parenting goes beyond daily survival needs. We all know water, food, shelter, and clothing are the basic needs. My first thoughts of parenting, I think of them providing food, giving us a place to sleep, making sure that we're safe, making sure we have clean clothes, and they get us to school or daycare so that they can go to work. But we don't realize parenting goes beyond that. The ways that parents respond and address children's emotions affects how they feel they can express themselves. Criticizing and diminishing anger or sadness shows their feelings don't matter and aren't valid. And this causes them not to be able to cause with stress as well. And they're more prone to negative emotions. Parents should be aware that the key aspect of emotional development of middle childhood in children is learning how to regulate these emotions. They see how their parents act around each other and show emotions, along with how they regulate their own emotions. Children learn by behavior that they see. They're affected by neglectful and hostile parenting. They're prone to episodes of anger or negative emotions. And this leads to behavioral problems and the child not being able to regulate their own emotions. You see this a lot when parents are going through a divorce. Now I'm going to read a quote from B. Moggs and K. Weber from 2014, Parental Influences on Emotional Development of Children. I retracted it from Vanderbilt EDU. It says this: parents should be aware that not only do their emotions and parenting style affect the emotional outcomes of their children, but if they're not aware of how their children's tempers affect them, they could fall into a spiral of ineffective and indifferent parenting, which further contributes to negative behaviors from the children. Children more prone to these episodes are affected by negative and hostile parenting. Parents influence emotions. Children see how you comfort a crying person. Smile at someone who's smiling. If the parent is criticizing or diminishing anger or sadness, again, that shows them that they're not valid. But if they see them smiling at others, they know this is a good thing. Parents' interactions with each other. As we see children getting into middle childhood development stage, we notice that they're a little more independent. But how parents interact with each other affects a child's emotional and social development, and marital conflicts contribute to problems in these areas of development. This we find is from Morris Sheffield, Steinfeld, Myers, Robinson. And this is the role of the family context in the development of emotional regulation and social development. Social development. Children are more independent, like I mentioned earlier, at this stage. They become more selective in choosing their friends, and they even compare themselves. They might not say anything out loud, but they're sizing them up. The reasons that our children are drawn to others, they might be more outgoing than them. They like how they dress. They also might like the sports they play, or even the computer games that they like. Wow, this gets into a lot of crazy stuff. Parents' role in social development. It's very important. We do so many things with our kids, from eating to playing to teaching them things. And we would love them to know how a good role model does it in social development. Encouragement for socialization. Parents don't have control over who their children's friends are now. In earlier stages, we could take our child to our friend's house and just have them play with our friend's child. Because we knew how that child operated, we weren't afraid to do that. But now we don't have control over this. So we need to guide them towards friendships that are happy and healthy, and encourage them to talk to other children without being pushy. This way, if they're talking to other children, they can make new friends. And we need to incorporate outside activities besides the school activities. Maybe have a play date. So recap on emotional development. Children learn emotional regulation from watching their parents and how they handle their own circumstances. Parents should be aware of how they're acting in front of children so they can be a good example, teaching them self-control. If we always fight, we're going to have negative impact on our children, and that's how they're going to learn their emotional development. If it's always around them, you can be sure that's how it's going to stick with them. Build emotional intelligence and also boost empathy by encouraging children to think about how others feel. Be there for your children to be able to talk. If parents are always gone, there's no one for them to reflect on. Social development is very important. So the recap on social development. Identify healthy friendships. Let them know it's okay to have misunderstandings with their friends. That's okay. That's how we learn about each other. But if this friend is a source of anxiety or stress, we can definitely walk away and make sure that they know that. If there's a situation at school, we can always ask the teacher to separate the children so that they aren't influences on each other at all. Or if there's a bully, be sure you don't let them be your friend. Encourage outside activities other than school for social interaction. The emotional and social issues will set the stage for the rest of their life. Parents are a very vital part of development in middle childhood development because the children look to them for guidance and learn from watching their behaviors and listening to them. Thank you for your time. Again, my name is Sherry Harris. Here are my references, and I hope you enjoyed the PowerPoint.